A couple more questions, and we will be done with the session. Thanks so much, guys, for continuing to send over your tweets and questions. It looks like I have about 70 or 80 of them now, but that's all good. We'll get to a few of these.
Can we do like one a second or something?
Exactly. We'll do like really short answers, like rapid fire. Kate Glover's question specifically, you live in D.C., where all the politicians are. Don't you ever just get sick of being around politicians? And how do you take your philosophy or your ideas to them in an effective way, living so close?
I live close and yet so far. I consider I don't think I could be farther away in spirit from all the politicians that you're talking about than I have now, because we've chosen such an alternative lifestyle. But the way I've chosen to deliver my message is through my blog, The Slow Cookware. Really, I was minding my own business and just writing about the food we were growing and the kind of lifestyle that we were leading until I got into the school food issue, which opened my eyes to a whole host of political issues and how the USDA operates and how Congress operates and things like that. So, yeah, there are some times when I get really depressed about how things work and how our politics work. But I keep plugging along because I visit the cafeteria where my daughter goes to school every day, and I see what the kids are eating there, and I see that we really need to make sense of politics versus our food policies and how we eat.
Mm-hmm. I want to dive into that a little bit, because I think that is an important distinction of what you make what you bring to the table is this perspective about food, because you have been around it and you are one of those people who's worked with it quite a bit, and now you have an idea of what school food should be and how school food should be prepared. Talk a little bit about what you see the future of school food and how you feel like what you do plays a role in that.
Well, I come at it as a former journalist. I worked for the Washington Post for a number of years, and my mindset is more the sort of investigative, information gathering, trying to get to the bottom of things, and that sort of, as opposed to some of the purely good food advocates who are arguing for kind of turning the school food system upside down and just cooking everything from scratch. The Alice Waters model of everything seasonal and
right.
cooked fresh, et cetera, et cetera. My take is a little bit different from that, in that even after 11 months of looking at this on a daily basis, the solution isn't obvious to me. But what is obvious to me is that we're feeding the kids a lot of really bad stuff, and in particular, just a lot of sugar and what you can only call junk food. So my take on it is that we could really improve school food a lot if we just got the sugar and junk out and maybe set the everything cooked from scratch with fresh ingredients as kind of an ideal to aim for down the road. But I really think it's important, especially when we're talking about an obesity epidemic that's now costing the country something like $168 billion a year, and kids who are too fat to serve in the military, and really creating a national security issue as well as a fiscal, a deadly fiscal issue for the country, that we really need to look at this as an emergency, a crisis situation where we first and immediately need to get the really bad stuff off the school menu and off the school grounds. And that's, sugar and junk food, and yes, even chocolate milk. I know people want their kids to get calcium and stuff like that, but I really think we need to create sugar-free zones around schools.
Well, that and the chocolate milk was the only thing I've ever gotten sick in school that I remember. And actually, still to this date, cannot drink chocolate milk without gagging a little bit at the very prospect.
How about strawberry milk or grape milk or root beer flavored milk? Oh, it gets a lot worse than chocolate.
I don't know that I've ever gotten sick on any of those, but that might be really tough too.
Chocolate. Well, when I went into the DC schools here, didn't know quite what to expect. I thought they were cooking food fresh. At least that was what they were billing it as. And what it really was they had switched from these like reheat meals that are made in a factory and trucked into the schools, and gone to having all the meal components, frozen, made in a factory in Cincinnati or Minnesota or whatever. If you can believe, like pre-scrambled eggs, frozen and then reheated.
That sounds.
Doesn't that sound good? And so everything was refrozen. It came in a box, and then they would put it in a steamer and a convection oven and reheat it. So that was their idea of cooking things fresh. And what I saw, kids eating for breakfast, for instance, was the strawberry milk over the Applejack cereal with the Pop-Tarts and the giant goldfish grahams and the Otis Spunkmeyer muffins.
Oh my God.
And so kids literally were eating the equivalent of like 15 or 16 teaspoons of sugar first thing in the morning. I mean, we're talking about elementary school students before the classes even started. So fortunately, we had a sympathetic, a new food service director who came in and was sympathetic to the parents' concerns, and just in the last few months of totally gotten rid of all that stuff and start serving things a little bit more reasonable. So we've already had a major impact on getting some of that stuff off the menu, so we aren't feeding that to the kids.
I was going to invite your wife over, but she just creeped by in the background. I was going to be like, we were talking about you earlier.
I know. She's kind of used to having, to avoiding the camera is what I should say. She's very good at avoiding the camera.
Nice. So to wrap things up, what's your definition of sustainability?
Sustainability is where we have a planet to live on sometime in the future, and what we need to do now to make sure that happens. Because if we use up everything now, then our kids and grandkids are not going to have a place to live. So I see sustainability. I take it quite literally, meaning something that we can continue on into the future without spoiling the planet that we need to live on. So my definition is really literal.
Great. A lot of literal definitions around the country. I've heard it often. I'm glad to hear it. Again, it's important to remember future generations along this journey to discuss what sustainability really means. I'm Shane Snipes. You're watching Sustainable 1000, and be sure you check out theslowcook.com. That's a great website, and lots of information there to cook simply, deliciously, and locally. All those things are just there.